Hello, hello. My name is Brianna. Today I'm going to go over how to do a budget closeout specifically just for one paycheck so that it's more easy and less complicated to learn how to do it. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would love for you to like and subscribe, and let's learn. Okay, so there are a few things that you need in order to do this accurately and get your numbers correct, or at least learn how to do it properly. So first, you need to have a budget and know what you had spent from that budget. So know what your total income was for the month, know what your starting balance was in your accounts for the month, know all of the expenses that came out, and know what you have left in your account or what you have left in your cash envelopes. It's very, very helpful for me to use my expense trackers and also my budget. So I use my budget, my expense trackers, and my cash envelope trackers. And all of that will give me the numbers that I'm looking for. So I'm going to show you my actual numbers and what my paycheck budget was, what my closeout was for this past paycheck, up into the middle of February. So I get paid every Friday, and let me show you on the calendar. I get paid every Friday. So I'm tracking the closeout from the 7th of February to the 13th. Now on the 7th, I did pay the bills in the beginning of the month because they were already covered by a credit card. I was just paying back that credit card. They were just subscriptions. And then I also paid these bills. But then I had random things that came up. I had my cash envelopes. I had savings that I decided to do, things like that. So it can be super confusing. But if you have all of the numbers laid out, you should be able to figure it out, or at least you can prep for your next paycheck to make sure that you do it properly and you have everything that you need. So this was my paycheck budget. Oop, these are out of order. So this was my monthly budget. This was my plan for the month of February. Now from here, I already did a video on it, but I broke it down by paycheck because you obviously want to make sure that you have the money available to you to pay your bills on time. So I broke that down in another video. I'll put it in the description. And then from that, I started tracking for my paycheck. So I did this way. So I did have my plan per paycheck, what I wanted to spend, and then I had what I actually spent, which of course, most of the time it's not going to be exact because things do come up, and maybe you forgot something in your original budget. You forgot that you had an appointment, or you forgot that you had a subscription due that's yearly that was not in your on your calendar because it slipped your mind, things like that. But basically, when you're closing out your budget, this is what you will have. Let me zoom you in. Okay, so this is the gist of a budget closeout or a monthly budget closeout. If you want to do paycheck, monthly, whatever you want to do, but I would suggest starting by paycheck because it's a lot simpler. You have a lot less bills. So budget closeout for any time period. You will have your income. You will have your starting balance. And this is your income for the entire period that you're tracking. So let's say you get paid on Fridays, but then you did a little side job on the following Tuesday and you got a little bit of extra income. You need to add that in here because you either used that for expenses or you kept it in your account. So you need to account for all of the income that you had and that you possibly used or did not use, okay? So you have all of that, you add that together, and you get a total. You're gonna take that total, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna subtract everything that left your account except for transfers, cash envelope withdrawals. So if you have a transfer and you transfer it into your other account and then you use that money, you're not going to count the transfer of $100 leaving your account and then you used 85 of that, because that would total up to 185, but you only really spent 85. So, and then same for cash envelope withdrawals. If you take out $800 for your various cash envelopes, but then you don't spend $800, you're only going to track what you did spend, and then what you have left would be in the next section, okay? So this is all of your expenses. Ooh. But not transfers, not cash envelope withdrawals, or any kind of withdrawal where you don't spend all of the money. You're counting the spending of that money, not the withdrawal of that money. So then you'll get a total. And that will equal what is left in your account. Now, if you're doing a zero-based budget, what's left in your account, you'll usually count as a buffer category or a rollover category. But just for the sake of making it kind of simpler, I'm going to end with what's in your account. So to break it down even more, all right. Sorry, I didn't know that you couldn't see that. So to break it down even more, what we're going to do is put numbers to this. So let's say you had 500 in your account, starting balance, and then you got paid 500. That is 1,000. Now all of your expenses, let's say you took out 200 for envelopes. From that, you spent 50 on pets and 50 on groceries. And then let's say you had 700 in rent and 100 on electric. Okay, so let's do the math. Your total expenses here will be 700 plus 100 plus another 100. You're not counting the 200, okay? You count the 100. So that equals 900. Now, theoretically, what you should have left is, so this did bring your account to zero. I don't recommend that. But technically you have $100 left in cash, right? Because you only spent 900. That was the 700, the 100, and then the 100, but you took out 200. So technically you have 100 in cash and 0 in your checking. Again, I don't recommend that. So now what you have is 1,000 minus 900. We know that equals 100, which is also how much you have left. That means that you tracked everything properly and your budget closeout is correct. This is what you aim for. Now, sometimes you'll be a little bit off. If you're a few dollars off, I would not stress it, because trying to figure that out can be really stressful. So don't worry about that. If you're a few dollars off and it's not, you're not in the negative, things like that, just don't worry about that. If you're a few hundred off, then you might want to look back and see, did I forget something? Did I track something twice? Things like that. So now I'm going to show you with my real numbers, my budget closeout for my first paycheck of February. Okay, so the important sheets that you're going to want to do your budget closeout is your paycheck budget. If you didn't fill it out, it would be helpful to fill it out now just to gather your numbers. Your expense trackers. This will be helpful as well. And then if you track, however you track your cash envelopes, so you know that the spending that you actually did, that would also be helpful. You really do need that. So just the way that I like to do it is I'll put down the deposit and then how much I used. But for my budget closeouts, I just circle the total spent so that I don't have to sit here and do math, because I didn't write down how much I spent normally. I would just write down how much is left, which is how it's done really often, which makes sense. But at the end, I like to just put how much I spent, and then for the next paycheck, I'll just keep going down the line, and then I'll write how much I spent that I can use for my expense tracker for the budget closeout. So for the expense part, I'm going to break it down into major categories because that's going to make it very helpful. So I have 2 separate checking accounts that I have to use, that I have to account for. Okay, so just as a reminder, your closeout math is going to be your starting balance plus your income minus expenses, and that will equal what's left. Now make sure we don't count transfers or cash envelope withdrawals. Okay. So my starting balance for both accounts, and it's not normally like this, as I explained in my previous video when I did my budget, my last paycheck of January, and then we had a Christmas bonus. I didn't do anything with them because I wasn't really sure if I wanted to go towards my debt or go towards my savings. So starting out with $1,500 in my checking account, that's not the norm for me. Okay, so checking account 1 is 1558.53. And then checking account 2 is 890.01. And then what was my income? So I received 1 paycheck on the 7th. And then I forgot again that we were receiving another bonus. We only get bonuses once or twice a year. And it's usually a Christmas bonus and then in February. The February one is never definite. But I forgot that I was getting that. So I didn't put it into my budget. I didn't make a plan of what I want to do with it. So right now, just like I did in January, I'm not making any rash decisions. Now I might use a little bit just for myself, but the rest of it, I'm going to sit down and make some goals and see what I want to take care of. The old me would have put it all to debt. But honestly, I am okay with being in debt for 1 more year and building my savings. Although that's just personal preference, that is how my budget is going for me currently. So I have my starting balance 1, starting balance 2, paycheck 1, and then bonus. Then, so my paycheck is always split into 2 accounts. I have a minimum go into 1 account, and then whatever's left over go into the other account. So I have, and highlighting is very, very helpful. A lot of people will highlight per category, but I realized that I just have way too many categories. So I highlighted it here. This is so I can keep it straight. I have my income, my variable expenses, my debt, my savings, and then my regular bills that I'll have every single month. So now that I'm looking for my income, I know that I'm looking for the green highlighted part. So 725 plus 335.48, 1060.48 for the bonus. And then my first paycheck is 725 plus 306.11, 1031.11. Now I did tell myself that, so I like to have a rule for any overtime. So that way I don't just spend it aimlessly when it comes into my account. So when I make my budget, I told myself that I'm gonna put this money away for taxes. That's not for my bonus because that's a large amount, and I my taxes should definitely not come out to that much. If I even owe, I have no idea. But automatically in my budget, I only expect to have $1,000. So here, paycheck times 4, that's for 4 paychecks in February. I expected $4,000. That's the bare minimum that I should be getting paid at my full-time job. I also have an Etsy shop, but I don't count that in here because I never know what it will be. So that's always extra income. So since this is 1031.11, I automatically put 31.11 towards my tax money. Okay, so the total that I need for my calculations, we have 1060.48 for the bonus, 1031.11 for the paycheck, 890.01 for the beginning balance in one account, and then 1558.53 for the beginning balance in the other account. That total, whoops, 4540.13. This is a lot to me. This is not the norm. All right, so that is my total income and starting balance. Now I'm going to break down all the expenses, everything that left my account, besides transfers and cash envelope withdrawals. And then we're going to break down what's left. What's left should equal this minus expenses. Okay? Now, to break it down nice and easy, the expenses, I'm going to separate it by bills, variable expenses, savings, debt. Okay, now the quickest way to see my bills would be my budget, or if you want, if you still have to fill out your budget, you can use your expense trackers. And if they're highlighted, like I said, that makes it a lot easier. Okay, so I have my budget. Here's all of my bills, and I got this from my expense tracker. So if you look, everything here is highlighted in this neon orange color on my expense tracker. So just to double check myself, I have $299 here, I have $16.42 there, I have $54.42, I have $15, I have $105, and then I have another $299. So that total of my bills was $92.87. Okay. So then my variable spending, this will cover expenses that came out of your checking account that were variable spending, and also cash envelope spending. So I do have that here. I already put together the cash envelope totals and my expense totals. But just to show you, here. So my grocery, I started with 100, and then I took out 85, which left me with 15. Just to total it up, I like to circle it. And then household, I started with 10. I used all 10, and then I borrowed $4 from my miscellaneous envelope. Now, to help clear up confusion with how you might track these on your budget tracker, is that I crossed out miscellaneous because I didn't use miscellaneous. I'm tracking my categories, not if I borrow from a category. That's just how I do it. So in total, I spent 14 in household. So that's what I put here. Where is that? Household. I budgeted for 10, but I spent 14. Now I took for medical, I also took from my miscellaneous envelope. That's why I have it, for things that come up or if I go over in another category. And this was just for one paycheck, so I didn't feel the need to put a lot in miscellaneous, but that's totally however you want to do it. So medical, I started with $40. I used all of it, plus I used $6 from my miscellaneous envelope. And here for medical, I put 46. I did not put anything for miscellaneous. I actually used this line for my Etsy shop supplies because I didn't have any miscellaneous spending. And I did track it here, but I didn't put a circle around it because I didn't want to confuse myself. I had the deposit initially of $20. I took out $4 for my home envelope, and then I took out $6 for my medical envelope. This is a cashless envelope that I had. So I was supposed to buy my plane tickets for a while now, but I'm so nervous to fly. I'm so scared. So I've honestly been putting it off, which might not be good for the price, but I will do it when I'm ready. I have a wedding to go to in Arizona. I live in Pennsylvania. This is for my sister. I did, however, take from that $700 and I bought my bridesmaid's dress for $81.98. And that left me with $618.02. So we have variable expenses. According to this, it's kind of a mess. I'm going to put more lines on this, but your budgets might be a mess, and that's totally fine. Don't freak out. So my total variable expenses was $535.68. Now that was cash envelope spending, and that was also from my checking account. So savings, I had saved in total these numbers. I saved $300 for a hair appointment that I have next month. I put $140 into my emergency fund. I put that $31.11, that initial from my paycheck, whatever was my overtime. And then $618.02 was the difference between putting away $700 and spending $81.68 for that dress. Okay, so this is a difference, and I know that from this. Okay, so the total savings that left my account were hair appointment money, emergency money, $31.11 for taxes, that was my overtime money, and then $618.02. Now, honestly, because I knew that I wasn't spending this money, you could actually have this savings in your end, in what's left in your accounts, or you can count it as an expense for savings. Either way, it's going to work out because the rest of this, the math will work out properly. But I'm just counting it as savings. And then when I do cash envelope withdrawals, I count that the difference down here. I don't like to have the total up there because that just doesn't really make sense to me. I didn't spend all of it. I spent some and I had some left. So what I spent will be up here, and then what I had left will be down here. Savings, I don't plan on using it completely right now. I should be using that $618 eventually, but whatever's left from that, I'm going to save and put somewhere. So just, if you have questions, please reach out. And also, I didn't go to school for this. This is just for informational purposes only, but I just feel like I have a really good grasp on it, and it's something that can be very confusing for people. So I thought it would be a really good idea to show how to do this. And then I'll also do videos of where I actually count up all of my expenses on video, and then I do the closeout on video. Now the total debt would be exactly this. I actually did exactly what I planned for this paycheck for the 250s. And then for my American Express, I threw 18 at that, an expense from last month. So I did 250, 250, and 18. That total is 515. This total is 1089.13. Now, this was my total income and checking account starting balance. Now, you would also add into here if you were using a sinking fund or savings from a previous pay period. So let's say this $300 that I am going to use next month when I have my appointment, that's going to be up here. And then whatever my actual bill is for my hair appointment will go under variable expenses. And then what's left will either be saved, I'm not sure, or it'll just be left in my account. So that's how to kind of break it down. So I have 454013 minus the total of all of these. Okay, apparently I can't do quick math. This is supposed to be 518. Now the total of these four is 2235.68. Now, all that I need to do is see what is left in my checking accounts and what is left in my cash envelopes. So let me do this math first. That is 234.45. Now, what's left in checking accounts and then my cash envelopes. Now, just to take note, this would be things that I did not spend any money on. So I spent nothing from my pet food. So I'm going to add that into what's left in my cash envelopes. And then my miscellaneous, I didn't even make one for the pet food because I thought I took it out a little bit too early, so I didn't make one. But if you're just starting out and you want to have everything on paper to make it very easy, you should make a little section or have the individual trackers for each category, so that way you can track it down at the end when you're done. I just didn't want to use more paper than I had to. So my miscellaneous, I had $10 left. I'm going to write this down to make it easier. So cash envelopes, I have 10 in miscellaneous. I had that 120 from the hair that I did not use. I have in my checking accounts, I had 348.60. In my other checking account, I have 1652.55. And then back to my cash envelopes, I had takeout. I had $58 left here, nothing here, nothing here, and 15 there. So we have 58 in takeout. We have 15 in grocery. Okay, so I'm going to add all of that up, and that should equal just about that. After doing my math, I realized that I totally forgot something. Now, I preemptively took out another 100 for groceries for my next paycheck. And I have that right here. So $28 of this was change for my cash envelopes because I had to do an unstuffing. I spent on my credit card, and then I'm going to take money out of the cash envelopes to pay off that credit card. But I need the right bills for it. I'm not going to take $30 out of my grocery when I spent $24. So I took out $28 for change, and then I took out another 100 for groceries for my next, because I really need to go, and I didn't want to sit and break down my new cash envelopes. So I just went ahead and took that out early. I need to account for that. That's why, even I just made a mistake. That's why you need to look at literally everything that you have here. Like, I went over my bills on my tracker with you, and I did that one by one. I should have done that with this. So here I have the $28. I missed the 100. I went over this. All of these were in yellow. I missed the 100 right here. So that made my budget off by 100. So I'm going to add that as new grocery. When there's so many numbers, it can really get confusing, and don't feel bad. Don't feel bad, really don't. So I have 100 plus 15 plus 58 plus 120 plus 10. That is 303 plus 348.60 plus 1652.55. 2304. Wow, we're off by 30 cents. This is very good, okay? So this total was 2304 that I have left in my accounts. And this is saying the difference between what I had as income and what I spent is that. So these should be very, very close if you did everything properly. I'm going to use this for my monthly closeout just to kind of write down everything like I did here. But breaking it down makes it very simple to find your numbers, okay? If you ever need help, please let me know. Leave a comment on a video that you'd like to see, or if you have questions about this, I can definitely go over something more in depth, like how to separate your categories or how to differentiate your cash envelopes and things like that. But I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that it really helped you. Just honestly, a refresher for me to break it down, let me figure out that I did miss that $100. So things will happen. You're going to miss numbers. It's going to be confusing. And in the beginning, it might not add up at all. But instead of freaking out and going back and trying to fix it, you can just wash it out. Just say next paycheck or next month, I'm going to track better. I'm going to make sure that I don't forget anything. I'm going to make sure that I have every category written down and broken down, and everything that's left in my account is accounted for. So I can also do a video of counting what's left in my cash envelopes and then looking at my balances and tracking everything like that, just to show like the whole process of how it would easily work out. So again, let me know if you have any questions or any comments or suggestions. I would love to hear them. But until next time, I'll see you guys. Bye.